Hi, we're live.
Hello.
Oh, welcome back, everybody, to Just and Connected to COVID-19. And a reminder to our audiences, Dana Wood. Yeah, there it was, right? Dana Wood, Integrative Counsel, myself, Jennifer Carey, are collaborating to people during this time and hear what gifts they have to offer and what wisdom they have to share, because we are all in this together and everybody has something. And it has been a wonderful opportunity. Feedback from our audience is that this is cool. And it has been awesome for Dana and I to reconnect with old friends and new friends in the interviews. And on that note, I'm going to pass it to Dana.
Yeah, and we're so happy to have Abdallah. You're only the second guy on the on the program so far, Abdallah, and joining us all the way from Germany right now. And have the pleasure of calling you an old friend by this point. And so, Abdallah, curious if you can share who you are in the next under 4 minutes.
Yeah, let's try to stay in 4 minutes, right? I'll do my best. So, all right. So my name is Abdallah. I live in Munich, Germany, but I'm originally from Brazil. I'm here since almost 5 years now. Actually, since university, that's the longest time I spent in one place in my life. So then you see my life has been a little bit crazy. Of course, I've just recently graduated, as you can imagine. So yeah, but I'm perhaps like the best way to define myself. I'm a global citizen, right? So I have lived in more than 12 countries in my life for work. So I work in the corporate environment. I spent many years in large corporations. Today I work in a small medium enterprise. I'm an electronic engineer by graduation, and I'm also a musician, married with 2 kids. Very happily living here in Germany, and life is beautiful, right? So I keep myself entertained with music, cycling, family, and work. So I can't complain.
Wow, you were able to distill that in under like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. That was impressive.
Yeah, you never imagine that. I can always surprise someone.
I would also say humor is very much a part of who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So musician, father, friend, world citizen, traveler, and business-minded, as well as an electric engineer, are all sort of things you can call yourself.
Yeah, that's precisely right. And you said very well. I mean, I think that the good mood for me is the very important. I think perhaps it's a Brazilian thing that we need always to keep the good mood and keep the ball always moving whatever you see in front of you, whenever you are, and etc. So I try to keep my life in a positive environment always, because otherwise it's no fun, right? There's like every night when you put your bed in the pillow and then you think about, what have I done today, right? So, I mean, I try always to have a positive story to tell. Not always I succeed, but I try my best.
And it's funny that you say that it's a Brazilian stereotype, because that is something that is known, that Brazilians are known to be very positive and light and optimistic. It sounds like you live that out.
Yeah, and I think one thing that helped a lot as well is I mean, usually the Brazilians, they stay very much in Brazil, right? They don't travel so much around. But I took a decision. Well, it was not really a decision, but that was what has happened to my life. I cannot even remember how that really took off. But I decided to go around the world, and I got an opportunity to do that. So I lived many different cultures, which helps you to get your bias a little bit away and try to see people in a different, from a different eyes, right? So it's not always easy, but that helps a lot, because you can find positiveness, you can find different souls all over, and that's not really related to race or related to anything else. Like we find good and bad people all over. You go, the bad people, I still believe that they're not bad, but that's me, right? But I find like fantastic stuff all over every place that I go, and if you go, I mean, all these different places, they teach you one thing, like it's more what you do from the place than what the place offers you. So if you go with a positive mind and you make it happen, I believe that can make a big difference.
That's absolutely true. And I think that's a perfect segue into the second question, which is, how are you getting through this difficult time, Abdallah? How are you staying conscious and connected during COVID?
Yeah, well, I'm being a global citizen. I think I have embraced the type of what people are calling remote work many years ago, right? So I'm working remotely now for more than 4 years, completely remote. Before, I used to work very much remote. So, I mean, the remote environment is not something new for me. As you can imagine, because of the technology background that I have, I'm really an early adopter for all type of technologies and etc., which made my life much easier. Sometimes makes a mess as well, but usually I try to makes my life much easier. But one thing that I have underestimated when the COVID-19 started was that it's not only me, right? Now it's everybody in Europe, for example, where I have lots of relationship, Asia, Latin America, US. Everybody's now remotely, and not everybody's ready for that. Mm-hmm. So what I see is like this: that people are missing the human touch. And touch, when I mean touch, I mean the physical touch, right? I have plenty of online virtual beers and etc. It's pretty cool, but I mean, nothing replaces to be close to someone. And people are very they miss this kind of relationship, being close to everybody. So one thing that I go to the positive side, the amount of relationships that I'm building in these last months are incredible. People that I didn't talk for a long time, and now because of COVID-19, we need to perhaps have a video call. We need to exchange an email. We need to exchange a short message, whatever it is. This is happening much more often, right? So it is stressful times, but at the same time, I also believe that this is accelerating a very important change and also reflection in our lives, right? What are we doing with our lives? Are we really happy with the lives that we have? Do we want to change something? Are we perhaps thinking more about, am I just simply in the right path, what I have chosen for me? Am I spending enough time with my family, right? Am I doing the things that are really important for me? And all these questions puts you to think quite a lot. And so I really believe that, and this is a bit of an inspiration as well. While I understand like the big people losing their jobs, getting their salaries cut, suffering by not meeting the orders, but the amount of discussions and reflections that are happening at the moment, I think is fantastic. I simply think that's fantastic.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well said.
Yeah, and then it's great to hear from someone who has been already living in the virtual world. Like, this isn't anything new to you, and yet you can still say that there's a drastic difference in missing the human touch, but also having these opportunities to reconnect with people that you haven't connected with in a long time. And then also the remembering what's most important and asking yourself if you're doing what it is that you want to be doing. If you're really spending your time, those reflective questions that I think a lot of people are facing as well without the external distractions.
Yeah, I think one of the elements, you to the experts, right? So you know pretty well I'm gonna say, but change is something that's part of the human being since what, right? Since ever, right? So it was always, we always have been changing, etc. And one thing that I have learned in my life, that the faster that you embrace the change, the easier it is. You just need to accept it, right? There's no way back. Every time that the world had a big revolution as it happened, there was no way back. Everything is always new. We don't know what's that. We read a lot. There are many people talking about X, Y, and Z. That's great, right? But we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know how the new norm would be. What we know that would be different. And I think when you know already that things will be different, you become alert. So you become with your eyes, ears, nose, everything very open to understand what's going to come next and how can I adjust myself into that. Mm-hmm. So if I'm used to, and it starts with basic things, right? For people that go to the gym, for example, you wake up in the morning, perhaps you go to the gym and etc. Now there is no gym anymore. You cannot go there, but perhaps you can replace it with other things. And then people say, yeah, but I don't have the discipline to do that at home and it's very difficult. Well, maybe there's something that you need to change. Maybe you need to learn to have this discipline. I mean,
Wow.
Musician.
yeah, I mean, it's like music. Music also teaches you something that is patience, right? I remember that my daughter came once to me, and she asked, "Daddy, are you playing the same 2 bars for 1 hour? How can you stand that?" So, well, just close the door, because if you want to be a musician, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
I have a concert. I have another online concert happening next week, and yesterday I was playing, and then I went to my wife, and she looked at me and said, "When did you hear me play like that's non-stop in the evening, like going like after midnight?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, but that's good, right? I mean, that's perhaps the new norm, and now it's online concert. It is what it is. Let's embrace it and let's make it happen."
Yeah, you're spending more time doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, or we are finding a way to love what you're able to do right now.
Ah, well said. And I love that paradigm shift, Abdallah. And so I want to leave enough time for you to share your gift with the community. And so what did you want to share today? What offering?
Yeah, I think, well, if I go deep in my soul, right, I think they're like the thing that beats stronger to me is, of course, is music, right? So I for me, the world without music wouldn't be anything. So without that, like, I simply can't cope. So but I think that the what I would like to share with everyone is, like, as music, like that comes is a type of art that you cannot touch, you cannot see, unless, of course, you've seen a live concert and etc. But what comes inside you is like what you feel, right? And when it feels deep in your soul, it makes something different to you. So I think it's very important now to come back to what you really love. Like in my case, is music, cycling, my family, and etc. And try to really think through about what are you really doing of your life. Is it really what you like to do? Is it really what you prefer to do? What else can you really change? And maybe that's an opportunity that is the universe is giving to you for you to think about something else, for you to perhaps learn a new language, learn a new skill, talk to different people, and improvise, right? Listen different songs, listen different musics, learn different technologies. Because one thing is fact, right? The world will not come back to what it was, and there's no sense on that. This has been happening like for how many years already, and that's how we live, right? So I mean, we need to embrace the change. We need to understand that everybody today is much more sensitive than before. So take your time whenever you need to do your business, your family relationship, and etc. That we need to be extra patient. And it's not easy. Like for me, like it's much easier to say than do it. But we always need to think much more than what we were doing before, because everybody's extra sensitive, right? And perhaps like the self-judgment that you always have, that you're not doing enough, that you need to do more, and all these kind of things. Now perhaps not the time for that. Perhaps it's more. I don't like the word complacency, but perhaps you need to be a little bit more with ourselves and understand that it is a different world, right? It's the same like when I'm playing a song, and that's what music teaches me a lot, right? So you get a song, and I like to play challenging songs, and especially because I play the classical guitar, so it's lots of work. The technique is demanding, especially if you have a kind of a corporate life that I have, that you're traveling and all this kind of thing. So to keep the pace is very hard. But one thing that teaches me a lot is the fact that it doesn't help to get stressful in the day one when I need to have a concert, for example, in the day number 30. Maybe I need to start slow. And I start slow, and then it would get better. And if in 6 months' time I have another concert, because I'm not playing all the time, I need to restart again. And this restarting is constant on my life. I always need to restart. And that keeps you humble. That keeps you with the feet on the ground, because it's music, right? What can I do? I cannot just, okay, today I'm going to be a virtuoso of whatever instrument. It takes lots of time. It takes lots of discipline. And there's no way out unless you don't want to be a musician. The same happens with cycling. I last year had the pleasure to do a 4 days ride in the Alps, crossing from Germany to Austria. And I mean, it's 10, 12 hours of cycling, and then you have the mountain, and you start climbing, and you start climbing, and you start climbing, and it doesn't end the climbing. So what can you do? You can perhaps just give up, right? Or you just slow the pace and go in your pace. So it is like you need to adjust yourself. That's the way that I try to embrace all these changes and etc. You need to take a step back and think about, okay, what are my next steps? Where am I divesting to? What I'm going to do next? How to embrace all this challenge? How can I make things better? How can I make things better for me and for the world and the way that you like to proceed?
Okay. You said so much, and again, in a really sort of condensed amount of time. So I just want to make sure I'm slowing down to hear you, because there's like so much packed in every sentence you said. And so first it sounded like the importance of this time of pausing and letting what is no longer serving to sort of shed away. And that takes really a certain amount of patience and slowing down that wasn't typical for most people prior to this pandemic, right? This pandemic has really forced not only a pause, but a reevaluation. And it sounds like adjusting to this new norm, which is the gift I know you're sharing, is really around how do we embrace this change? And how do we begin to use it to have more of what we love in our life? But also you said something I think really important, to love what is already there, right? And that's sort of a mental shift and practice.
Yeah, like one like let me change gears a bit, like to talk about that, because I think that's an important topic, right? I imagine like more than almost 22, 23 years in the corporate and this kind of business life. So you talk to many people, you hire many people. Unfortunately, sometimes you need to dismiss some people, and you help people to grow. You see people succeeding, you see people failing, and all these kind of things. And one thing that I see quite often is like people like, yeah, you know what, but I don't like the job that I have. You know what? I'm not happy with the life that I have. Like, this corporate life is not nice, and etc. And people sometimes, I have the feeling that they're too picky, right? It's not that the world would be completely adjusted to what you like. It's more that what do you have in your hands, and how can you make that something different for yourself? And when you live in countries with very limited resources, I had the pleasure to live in Southeast Asia, in Vietnam, and afterwards I had the pleasure to live in Kenya, in Nairobi, and you learn so much from people that has very limited and can do so much, because they learn and they're happy. They find happiness from things that you feel even embarrassed that you're not happy about. Yeah. So once you start learning to use what you have, to use the skills that you have, and build on your own strengths instead of trying to fix all your weaknesses, I think life becomes much easier, much softer. Right? And
another powerful punch.
This makes us like, I mean, I think this puts us in a completely different pace, right? On just think about it, like when we would have a chance, for example, to have a kind of this streaming here online to discuss about this kind of things in life.
It's true.
So,
yeah,
we are just getting an additional motivation here. We're just getting a kind of a trigger for us to always think about it. And this is happening in this community here. Just think about how many people are talking about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's all these themes that are coming out of this. And yes, there's a lot of suffering, but there's a lot of lessons and appreciation and gratitude and adjustment and resilience, all the things that you're naming, all the things that you have been able to see firsthand living in so many different places is happening. And it's the wonderful things that are coming out of this.
Yeah.
And the softening that I think is happening, us, sitting around talking about these things that we may not have been, 2 months ago, the importance of the connection, the importance of the softening, the importance of coming within and reflecting and reevaluating and shifting our mindset.
Yeah, and of course, like we are a bit like, I think times now are very stressful for everyone. It's very complex. So I think we are in one extreme, and I believe that we're gonna find the right balance, and this should come pretty soon. It's not. It's, sometimes it's always like that, right? We are in one on the opposite side of the street, and then we perhaps need to meet in the middle of the street. And I think that's what's forcing all of us to do. So in that sense, I feel that we need, as I said, we need to embrace the change. There's a new norm, and we need to learn. We need to be open to learn. We need to, and to learn, we need perhaps to empty a little bit ourselves from what we learned before and relearn new stuff.
I think that openness, and I also think that word acceptance that you said before, because I think when we're resisting change, then we don't have that openness, we don't have that softness. It's just constantly hitting the wall. But I like the idea of, like, if we can just open ourselves up to this opportunity, there's a lot more that we can receive.
Yeah. Well, now we are forced to. The options are more limited, right?
Right. Abdallah, thank you so much for your time. And for those who want to hear Abdallah, it's really an incredible special treat. We're going to have all of that information on the bottom of this video description, so you can follow him and hear some of his music and concerts coming up, right?
Yeah, next Thursday there's another one coming up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yay! And he's working on it step by step. Everyone, he's really, until midnight.